up, everybody? It's your girl, Kiafa, and we are back with another podcast with Kiafa's Guide to Greatness. And today I have the CEO and founder of Glow by Grounded and one of my really good friends, Miss Kim Nicole. Hey, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really, really appreciate it. You guys, this girl right here is the truth. We have an amazing podcast for you guys today. We're going to talk a little bit about who she is and what she does and, how what she does can be a really big help to everyone. So let's get into it. So as I mentioned before, she is the founder of Glow by Grounded. And you say that the antidote to hustle culture, creative burnout, procrastination, and overwhelm is basically what Glow by Grounded is about.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about that because let's keep it 100. In today's world, people are hustling, and this is a hustle culture. People are burnt out, and and they're overwhelmed, which can lead to procrastination. And then also someone like me, I'm a big procrastinator just in general, so I've always procrastinated since I was a little girl. I mean, I've gotten better now, but I'm saying even just growing up, and then it comes in and out in phases.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about this hustle culture and, how we can prevent burnout and the overwhelm and all of that.
Yeah. So the work that I do is I am a holistic creative consultant, and really I support creative business owners, entrepreneurs, artists, activists, anyone who has a passion and an idea in their heart, especially if it's going to make the world a better place, and bringing their ideas and visions to life. And I really want to help create a new paradigm where we don't feel like we have to sacrifice our mental, physical, emotional health, any part of our well-being to bring an idea to life, to be an entrepreneur, to be a creative person. And our society so much builds up being a hustler, being a go-getter. When you go to a job interview, they're like, how well do you work under pressure? And I'm like, well, where's the pressure coming from? Like, I'm really big on, and the work that I help my clients do is put really strong strategies and systems in place so that they don't have to move with a sense of urgency. If you have things planned out, you have your deadline in mind, or you have your goal in mind, and you create a strategy to align with that time frame and what your ultimate goal is, there's no need for a sense of urgency. Yes, sometimes things happen and life is life, but overall, I really would love for us to stop just carrying this sense of urgency unnecessarily, because a lot of times it's like an addiction. We're just so used to rushing through things,
addiction. Wow.
Yeah, it's like we're addicted to this, just like, I'm moving and I'm shaking and things like that. Money. Yeah, and then we look up and it's just like, dang, I feel really overwhelmed. I feel really burnt out. And then that leads to procrastination because now our nervous system is shot. And so I help people reconnect with the cyclical nature of life, not only nature cycles and seasons, but our own internal cycles as well, and using that as the foundation to create our strategy and our plan so that we can move at a pace that feels good to us, not only mentally but also in our bodies.
Yeah,
because that's where the burnout stems from. It's like my body's exhausted from moving at light speed all the time.
Yeah. Because we feel like we have to do that because, so many of us are working, and then, we're parents, and then we're also sons and daughters. So, you're playing different roles and wearing many hats, and you feel like you have to grind, go. And, we're not thinking about what we should be doing, like you said, what's the cycle that we actually should be in. I was watching these three young ladies talk, and I don't know if you're familiar with Tony Jones, but she does the affirmation music. Yeah. So it was her and a couple of other ladies, and they were talking about, doing what you're supposed to be doing in the moment. They were saying like some days, you may give 70% today, today may be a day where you give 10%, just depending on your energy level. Like, today is a 10% day. Tomorrow may be a 50% day. It's not like you have to go every single day, all day long, And another thing that she talks about too is, like, for example, dishes in the sink, for example. You came home, you cooked, you did what you had to do for the children or whatever the case may be, and now you think, okay, I gotta get up right now and go do these dishes. It's like, okay, can the dishes wait a little while? You know what I'm saying? So, yes, like, we have to, it's very important that we just take a minute to just sit down to ourselves and think, like, what can I do so that I can feel better? What's best for my health, and what I need to be doing.
Yeah, I love that.
So I love that, yeah. So, your name, as far as being grounded, because you have grounded in the name, Glow by Grounded. So, let's talk a little bit about being grounded, because a lot of people don't know what that means. People ask me a lot when I say, I'm going to be doing some grounding today, or whatever the case may be, like, what's that? So, let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so grounding means so many things to me. So when I first started my business, I was making herbal botanical products. And so the grounded came from that, because I'm sourcing my ingredients straight from the earth. And so grounded. And then now, having gone through so many iterations of my business and being where I'm at now as a holistic creative consultant, the name has held space for me through every evolution of my business. And so now where I'm at with it, to me, grounding is being able to take something from an idea and to be that channel to bring things from wherever our ideas come from, that source energy, and ground them into this realm and bring an idea to life. To me, that is the ultimate process of grounding, is creation. And also grounding on a more, I guess, a different term of, like, being connected to the earth and, like, using that as our foundation to be able to create from. So it has so many meanings.
So many different meanings.
To me, we could spend the whole podcast talking.
We could
about that.
And then to let some of you know, when she was talking about, connecting to the earth as well, for those of you who don't know, and it sounds, different to people who've never heard it before, but you can literally go walk around outside with your shoes off, and that is a connection to the earth. And that's grounding, being out in nature, that's also a form of grounding. So, for those of you who want to know a little bit more about, how can I start at least the grounding process? Like she said, the creative flow of ideas. Now, I have never heard that before, but I love it. That's like the definition of being grounded. So I thank you for bringing that perspective to us. So I appreciate that. So let's talk a little bit about, you assist with helping others with creative flow, meeting aligned strategies. So let's talk a little bit about the importance of flow and alignment. I know we talked a little bit about it, but let's get a little bit deeper into the flow of things.
Yeah. So the work that I do, I'm very big on balancing the masculine and feminine energies, because as a Scorpio, I tend to move
Scorpio.
let's
go for the
Scorpios. So I tend to move a lot in extremes, because Scorpio is a very intense sign, and so I've been on I'm just totally soft, like all I have to do is think it and it comes to me, and like being like too in the flow almost. And then I've been on the other side where it's just like I'm hustling and I'm grinding and like like no days off.
Just go.
And neither one of those got me to where I want it to be. And so where I'm at now, I think flow is so important as a part of our foundation when it comes to like just aligning with an idea, like to even allow that idea to come to us. It's like we have to be in a certain alignment and flow, but we don't stay there. I think that in the creative process, it's like we oscillate between, or I won't even say flow, because I think we're in the flow the whole time, but it's like we also have to bring in that more masculine energy of like the strategy, the structure, like actually doing things. Faith without works is dead. And I think that sometimes we get too caught up in the flow that we don't actually do anything tangible to bring that idea to life. And so I think the flow is so important, of like connecting again with that source energy of like using our imagination, visualizing things, and being in alignment, and then in that alignment taking aligned action. Okay. And so I'm big on bringing the two together, because again, nature is our best blueprint for the creative process, and everything in nature has a masculine and a feminine principle. Even when it comes to creating a child, you need the masculine and the feminine principle. There's a couple things in nature that can just make a baby by themselves, but you know, overall, you need both.
Yeah, that's so true. You know, we live in a world of just, you know, where there's, you know, polar opposites. You know, you have hot and cold, you have lightness and darkness, you know, and that magic, you know, is right there with where the balance is. Yeah. So it's just like, it's just such a beautiful thing when you can start to balance it out and do that within yourself, like you're talking about doing. You know, you can be too much over here, or you can be too much over there, but neither one of those actually work. You know from experience. I also know from experience, and what I realized too is sometimes when you're too much in one or the other, right? And then you realize, okay, I need to go over here. A lot of times we try to do the balance without putting in too much of the work at the same time. Yeah. That's what I just ended up doing, because I was all in this like manifestation thing. Oh, I'm going to manifest this and manifest that and stay high vibrational. And then when I realized, okay, I still have to put in the work, and putting in the work is not just, I have to be in alignment with the flow of that too. So it's just not going over here and now, because I know that's what I gotta do, I'm just gonna go ahead and do it quickly. Okay, let me come up with a quick strategy to do. No, you still have to put in the work over here like I did over there. It's balancing that too. Yeah. So it's just like, oh my gosh, like finding the balance is just such a beautiful thing. Yeah. And that's what brings the flow. Right? Because now you're aligned and you're in that balance, and now you can be in the flow. And it's just like, that saying that goes, basically whatever you focus on is what you attract. So now you can actually attract that energy that you actually want. So about where you help others bring creative visions to life. And I think that that's basically where we were going with it, right? So explain to me a little bit more about that. So if somebody comes to you and they're just overwhelmed, you know what I'm saying? And they're like, listen, this is what I've been trying to do. How do you then help them bring those creative visions to life? Like, do you give them like a one by one, or do you do like, you dive deeper into seeing what they're doing, or how does that go?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have some questions.
Oh, okay. Y'all be ready for the questions.
Yeah, so typically when I do intake with a new client, the first session or two is we're just having a conversation, and I'm really like digging deep with you about what's really going on, because my work is holistic. And so I think in the West we're very used to things being so compartmentalized. So you go to the doctor and you're like, oh, I have this pain. They're gonna only focus in on that pain. If you go to a doctor in the East, they're gonna ask you say my shoulder hurts. Here they're like, okay, let's do an x-ray of your shoulder. In the East, they're gonna be like, oh, well, like, have you been sleeping? Are you having any relationship issues? Like, they're gonna have questions to see, like, not just the problem, but to find the root of the problem. And so that's kind of the approach that I take with my clients, of like, let's get to the root of the burnout, to the root of the procrastination. Like, are you procrastinating because you're afraid of being seen? Are you procrastinating because you have some past trauma surrounding this thing? Like, what's really going on? And let's address that. And alongside of that, let's come up with the strategy that works for you. If you're a procrastinator, yeah, let's get to the root of it. And also, let's create a strategy that will help you knowing that you're a procrastinator, you know?
Yes. So coming into the knowledge, if you know better, you do better.
Exactly.
And, yeah.
Like, even for me, I had to realize I was procrastinating because I was just carrying around this never-ending to-do list, and it made me feel overwhelmed and overstimulated. And I was procrastinating because I'm not thinking, okay, I just have to do this one task. Like, every time I'm going to sit down to work, I'm just seeing this massive list. And then
you just get overwhelmed. You know what? Let me take a nap.
Yeah, literally, because my dominant nervous system response is a freeze response. So when I get overwhelmed, I freeze, and then I just don't do anything.
You know what? I think, let me turn to this show. Or
exactly.
Let me go. I think this movie came out today. Let me scroll.
Anything
else? Okay, scrolling, girl. Social media. It's just like, you know what? You pick that phone up. Oh, okay.
Yeah, like that. That's way less overwhelming than this 20-page to-do list I got going. And so then I always say, like, I have to, like, trick myself into doing things sometimes to work with my procrastination, knowing that that's something that I struggle with and that I'm still working through. And so, behind the scenes, I'm working through that. And then in the meantime, it's like, life still moves. I still gotta get things done. So let me figure out how to work with myself where I'm at today. Yes. And so for me, I had to start breaking my to-do list down into categories. And instead of, like, sitting down and being like, okay, I have to do everything on this to-do list, it's like, okay, today's an admin day. Let me see what's on my admin to-do list, which is a lot smaller than the 20-page to-do list. And then it's just like, I have an admin time block. So I may put on my calendar, like, okay, 2 hours of admin. And, like, it kind of tricks my brain instead of thinking, like, well, I have to do this for admin. It's just like, oh, I just have to sit down and do 2 hours of admin work. And then when I go to sit down, I already have my little list and, like, okay, let me start working on this task. And, like, whatever gets done in that 2 hours is what gets done. And then if I feel like to keep going, I keep going. And if I don't, I'm like, I did my 2 hours. Like, I'm proud of myself for that. And so that's kind of how I've been able to work with my own procrastination. Yeah. And then it's just helping my clients figuring out their own thing, because it's not the same for everyone, So everyone may not feel overwhelmed because they have to do this, and that's why they're procrastinating. Right. It could be something else. So we figure that out and figure out, okay, how should we work with it? What systems can we put in place so that whatever the issue isn't an issue? Right. Can help that person with what it is they have. And wow, that is so profound, you guys. I hope y'all listening. Hold up. You know what I'm saying? I'll clap myself, girl. Come on, y'all. Thank you. I received that. I'm telling you, that is so profound, so amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that with everybody, because what you said actually resonated with me too. Because I would do my little to-do list, you know what I'm saying? And then next thing you know, it's 20 things, like she said, but I was not. What I realized was that I needed to break it down into smaller tasks. So then I started doing that. And like you said, what gets done in those 2 hours gets done in those 2 hours. And when I first started doing it, it's almost like an adrenaline rush, because you did something. It's like, oh my God, I actually did this. Like, you know what I'm saying? And you're so much less overwhelmed, and it doesn't seem like this big scary monster anymore. You can approach your task more effectively, and now you're kind of happy to do it, because it's just like, okay, well, I got that done. So let me go ahead and take another step. Exactly. And it's baby steps a lot of times, and that's what gets you to where you want to be. I followed this one girl, and she was saying, she was like, if you only did like 10% of whatever it is you want to do, like whatever you're trying to do, if you only did 10% each month, she said by the end of the year, you've still done 120%. And I'm just like, wow, did I do that math right? 120%? Sounds right. But she was like, you still because you're making progress and effort. So the fact that you guys, y'all have to, we're going to talk about where you can find her at and her website and all of that, but you really should, if you're struggling in any kind of way, if the hustle culture is really getting to you, if you're procrastinating, if you're overwhelmed, you really should reach out to her, because it's very important that we're taking care of our health and our mental health, and still being able to stay on the same path of where we're trying to go in life. Because
you know, you don't want to be 80 years old, you know, or 70 years old or whatever age. And you're just like, wow, I never did what it is that I want to do. Like I was too busy doing this and being there for other people and not being there for myself. So I think it's very important, you know, for her to, like she said, help you to find the root of what it is that's making you do whatever it is that you're doing that you don't want to do. So as you can see, she's going to ask some questions and help you get to the root cause and the root issues of it. So, okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit about triggers and limiting beliefs. I believe that triggers and limiting beliefs has a lot to do also with people being the creative flow so that they can do whatever it is they want to do in life. So how are triggers and limiting beliefs, how are they actually making an impact on people so that they're not doing what they want to do in life? And how can we kind of get out of that? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that the creative journey, the entrepreneurial journey is a shadow work journey. And if you're not familiar with shadow work, it's like those darker, less desirable parts of ourselves that we oftentimes try to avoid because somewhere in our life we've been taught that they're not lovable or they're not good traits to have. And so I think when you're on a creative journey or being a business owner, a lot of times there's no blueprint. And so it will cause us to face all of those doubts or insecurities or limiting beliefs, those things that tell us like, you can't do this, or like, that doesn't make sense, that's not realistic, that's not possible. Things that may remind us, like a lot of people have triggers around money and finances and those sort of things. And they all may come up when you're on this journey of building a business and building an abundant business. And so if you're not aware of them, or you're not willing to do what it takes to work through those things, because you will have to work through them. You have to get to the other side. You have to learn to accept those parts of yourself, or reprogram certain parts of yourself, reaffirm parts of yourself, reparent parts of yourself. And it's work. Sometimes it's a lot more work than like the tangible stuff, you know, that we were talking about procrastinating on, like those admin tasks or just those more front-facing tasks. Like the shadow work side of it and working through those limiting beliefs can be so tiring. And if you're not willing to do that, at some point you may give up, or you may plateau, you know, especially when it comes to money. Like if you don't work through whatever limiting beliefs that you have, you may find like, dang, like I can't seem to make more than this amount in my business. Like, or when I do, like then an unexpected bill comes out and then I end up back at that same point. And it's because it's in your mind, something that you have to work through, or something in your emotions that you have to work through.
Shadow work is something that we don't talk about a lot. And for me, I kind of feel like shadow work can be an ongoing process. Because sometimes what I learned is you might even think you have healed from something, but it's actually an ongoing process. You are healing. You have not necessarily healed from something, because sometimes trauma can start in the womb. Like, it's like, yes.
I know. I'm thinking when Oprah was like, were you silent or were you silent? I'm like, were you healed or were you healing?
Right? Like, which, you know what I'm saying? Like, which one is it? So, you know, it's very important that you do the work when it comes to the shadow work. Knowing your triggers and knowing why, therefore, you have these limiting beliefs, because y'all, we're all here to learn, you know, and we're not perfect. We all, you know, may have trauma. We may have things that happen to us in our lives that we wish didn't happen. We don't want to address it or face it head on, you know. And then some of us, you know, we have to face, why are we the way that we are as well? Because am I always doing what I'm supposed to do? Am I always treating people like I should be treating them? You know, and if you're not, it's like, okay, just recognize that and do the shadow work. I mean, I don't see any way around not doing the shadow work, you guys. Because you can't be, I just feel like you can't be out here, for example, unhealed treating people any kind of way and then think that you're going to get what it is that you want in life. Like, come on, like, I think we need to wake up. And even to those people who are thinking, who tell you, hey, all you got to do is sit around and just say your affirmations and try to stay high vibrational and that's it. No. Well, how are you actually treating people? You know, because you need to do a deep dive into who you are and why you may react to certain things. And one of my biggest things that I like to do personally, or I've done over the past few years, I don't want to let anybody else be in control of my emotions. If you're in control of my emotions, then there's an issue that I need to dig deeper to see why did I let this trigger me and I went off on that person and it took me outside of myself.
Yeah.
That happened to me literally. I told you I've been doing this for working on this for years, but then 2 weeks ago it happened and I found myself snapping outside of myself. Somebody said something to me and I completely snapped and I was just like, what, Kiara? I was like, I haven't even done that. I'm like, when was the last time somebody got me to that point? And I couldn't even remember because I've been working on myself. So then I was like, okay, let me go inward and see what it is about me. And see, that's sometimes what we do. We're looking at the other person, like, what is it about you that you did to me? When it's like, no, why did I let that person trigger me to get to that point to where I'm no longer acting like myself, you know? So I had to do the work and I was like, what? I was like for hours. I was like, I really let that happen. What is going on? Like,
it be like that sometimes. It really do. Like we said, healing is not linear. And you know, I don't know the situation, but I'm like, sometimes
the shadow part got to come out.
It needs to be integrated. It's there for a reason. Like, I like to think of my shadow as like these two big, like, beastly dog creatures. And it's just like, you know, I have them on a leash and I'm walking around with them on a leash, but they're still there, baby. Like, they never go nowhere. They are always with me.
Yeah.
And I can let go of this leash at any moment if required. Like, I think that sometimes we like demonize like our anger and, you know, like we said, like the shadow, those less desirable things. And I think the goal of shadow work is not to get rid of those aspects of ourselves, but to learn how to use them and to make it a choice. You know, it's like, is that part controlling you or are you controlling that part? But it's still there either way. It's just what's your relationship to it, you know? Yeah, you want to, from a place of sovereignty or, you know, you just want to be able to say, okay, I know that I'm in control of this. You said yours are like on the leash. To me, mine are like, it's like in the back of my mind, but it's like in a cage, in a dark room, in a cage somewhere. And so when I see that I'm being triggered, I think to myself, do I want to unlock this door and let that beast out? Like, that's me. I'm like, okay, open the door or not. You know, I'm big on that. Like, okay, let me judge this situation because I'm not going to do it to where I let you trigger me. I'm going to do it from a place of sovereignty to where I wanted to do what I knew it was needed to come out. Because people will try you and they will test you. So you need those shadow sides sometimes. And sometimes I'm going to be that lesson.
Okay, listen. That's exactly.
Because we all have contracts that we came here to fulfill for each other. And so I think sometimes when we hold ourselves back in the name of like not wanting to ruffle any feathers or not wanting to be seen a certain way, it's like maybe we're causing that person to miss that lesson. Maybe sometimes people need to be on the other end of that crash out to be like, hey, like, you can't keep treating people that way. Like, someone's gonna knock you out
at some point.
Whether physically or energetically. Like,
you gonna learn
I tend to be on the energetic side, but like,
you gonna learn.
Like, you like, someone has to be the one to be like, hey yo, like,
somebody.
I'm not the one.
Exactly.
And if we hold ourselves back and like, oh, like, just completely demonize that part of ourselves, like, that person may miss a lesson that they really need.
Exactly.
Like,
that's true too. Yeah, that's very true. And that comes with it, you guys. That's a part of it. We were just talking about balance. So we're still talking about balance. It's still a balance. Like you have to be able to still know when to let that shadow side out and know when it was due to a trigger that shouldn't have triggered you, you know, different things like that, you know, which, you know, that's something that Miss Kim would be able to help you with if, you know, you do reach out to her and you know, okay, every time my husband does this, I'm triggered, you know, and then, you know, I hit below the belt or whatever the case may be, you know, she can really help you get to the root of that. And so I wanted to talk a little bit next about a holistic approach, because I know that that's where you, that's the place where you can help people from, which is the holistic approach. I would like to share the importance of nourishment and mental health and how it relates to mental health.
So kind of like I was saying before, I think, you know, in the West, we very compartmentalized. And, you know, even I recently was talking with a client and she was just talking about her relationship with God and how she's always felt like God and business don't go together. And I'm like, well, why? Why? If that is a part of who you are, why try to fragment yourself into, you know, keeping one part of yourself over here and only this part can be a part of your business? You're a whole person, and that whole holisticness is what I want to support people through, of like being their whole selves, including being a business owner. You're not a business owner over here and then everything else about you is just like, you know, you tuck that away when it's time to do business. There is a way to integrate and bring all of that into it. And so it's like, how are you taking care of your mind? How are you taking care of your body? How are you nourishing yourself? All has to do with how you show up, not only in your role as the business owner, but what you're able to attract to yourself as a business owner. Because going back to a lot of the things that we were talking about, burnout, overwhelm, procrastination, a lot of that surprisingly has to do with like, how are we nourishing ourselves in various ways? It takes a lot of energy to sustain a business, to sustain a creative project. And if we're not nourishing ourselves across these other ways, nourishing our whole selves, our cup is not full enough to pour into our business and to pour into these other avenues that our business may support. And I really learned that lesson when I went through my own nourishment journey. I did a gut reset a couple months back, and like, that really allowed me to experience what it means to be holistic in the way that I approach my business. Because I had just gotten to a point in life where like, I was just tired all the time, and it made it so hard to show up as a business owner, especially as a business owner, because there's no one I'm clocking into. There's no one checking that I'm meeting deadlines. It's all me. And so when I'm waking up every day and I'm so tired, it's real easy to be like, well, I'm gonna take a nap. Like nobody's checking for me but me. And like, I'm tired.
I'm getting this nap in.
I'm getting this nap in, and like in doing that, you know, I'm such a big proponent for rest, but again, in balance. And like when it's becoming that I can't make it through the day without a nap, then it's past just like rest is resistance, and it's just like, okay, but girl, why can't you make it through the day without a nap? Like, again, what's the root of the issue? And I found for me, it was really the way that I was nourishing my body. And so that's what led me to doing this gut reset and to connecting with a resource to be able to nourish myself with really, really high quality, nourishing superfoods. And since I've been on that journey and integrated it into my lifestyle, like, I've totally transformed the way that I'm showing up in my business, because I'm nourished enough to show up. I'm nourished enough to put in the work. I'm nourished enough to support myself in those phases of shadow work. And so, you know, I've been able to provide this resource to some of my clients as well, and it's changed so much for them too. Like I had a friend who was dealing with adrenal fatigue and like wasn't able to show up in her work the way that she wanted to, or her physical training and things like that. And then with integrating these superfoods, like she's been able to start training again. Like she just won an award at her job for being the highest sales rep in the county. And so it's like that piece
I
feel
that.
like, I know, right? Go girl.
Let's go, yes.
Yeah, so I think that like a lot of times, like we miss those other pieces of like, you know, it's not just about showing up and like sending the emails and making the content and things like that, but it's like, what are you doing outside of that, and how are you taking care of yourself outside of that so that you can show up better in that? And that goes past food. It's like, are you making time for self-care? Like, are you making time for play? Are you making time for your relationships? All of those things matter, and they all interplay with each other.
Yes, I love that, because you're basically saying it's from the inside out, you know?
Yes.
And that's probably where you get that glow by grounded from, you know? Because when you got those good nutrients, that good nutrition, and you're nourishing yourself in every way, mind, body, and soul, you can't help but to glow. You know what I'm saying? And it's beautiful.
Yes.
Like, it's a beautiful thing, you know? And just, you guys, by the way, I am also, I have my package on the way. Yes, so I'm so excited, you know, with the superfoods and everything, just to get, and that's one of the reasons, is so that I can also not feel fatigued and just so tired and drained during the day. Because I also am someone who has suffered from that quite a bit. So, you know, I'm excited because it's a journey for me. And just like when I spoke to you about it, you guys, because I saw that on her Instagram page, the difference that gut cleanse done for her. So I reached out and I was like, what can I do to, you know, do the same thing? Because, I need that, you know, and when you feel your best, it's a life changer. Yeah, it's okay. It's different. Like, they not like us. You know what I'm saying?
Like us.
It's those who feel good and those who don't, those who are tired all the time, stressed out, and not taking care of themselves in any way, shape, or form. You're mentally drained, you're spiritually drained, you're physically drained. You know, you may have these energy vampires around you, you know, versus those who are actually taking care of themselves and their environment, and you're doing so holistically. What?
Yes.
Let's go. You know, I've experienced both ends of the spectrum, you know, so now for me personally, I'm on a journey to where I stick to the right journey. I stay on this holistic journey to where I know this is not a diet. You know what I'm saying? This is not something that's just going to be like a one-time thing. Yes. This is for life, because why wouldn't I? You know, why are we so, that's a good question. Like, why are we so attracted to doing the wrong thing? We know if we eat this, we already know what it's going to do to us. Like, what?
I don't think it's necessarily that we're attracted to the wrong thing. I think we're attracted to what's familiar. And so
that's true.
A lot of us, if we grew up with that, or if we developed a habit around that, you know, like we grew up with like a certain feeling, we're going to seek things out that align with that feeling. So much of life, like even when it comes to like working through those limiting beliefs, like anything in life, it's practice. It's creating habits.
It's
like
a journey.
The subconscious mind, which dictates most of our behavior, learns through repetition. And
that's
so what we repeat is what we seek out more. We're creatures of habit. We're creatures of comfort. And like comfort isn't always like what feels actually good to us. It's what feels the most familiar to us. And so it's like,
that makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
that makes perfect sense. And that's why I love the saying, become the person that you want to be. Like right now, who do you want to be? You know, become that, because you'll start to create these habits, these good habits, you know, and after a while, it's just going to come naturally, you know. You'll naturally have the right things around you. You'll naturally, want to do the right thing. Kind of like going to the gym, for example. This is just, you know, for those starting out going to the gym, you may not want to go every day or however many days a week. But it's like once you just say, you know what, I'm going to get up and go. After a while, when you don't want to go, you're just going to naturally go. Just, you know what I mean? So
it's going to feel weird to not. It's going to feel unfamiliar to not.
Yeah, exactly. So you go with what's familiar. I love that. I think that we make time for what we want to make time for. But then also you have those who say, well, you know what? I don't have the energy to put into the things that I want to make the time for. So I guess, we kind of went over that though. Like our energy levels can really help to dictate, us feeling good enough to actually put the time into those things that we love.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that a lot of us will say, okay, well, I don't have the time for this and I don't have the time for that. But what are you making time for? Mm-hmm. One thing that I noticed is that a lot of people don't put too much time into their their spiritual side of things, and I noticed that like we'll spend money on, a lot of us will spend money on like maybe sports or like for entertainment stuff. We'll put money and time into that. And of course we put money and time into our families as well, which is great, but then also are we actually taking those moments that we need for ourselves, like Kim was saying before? And what is it that you like to do? Do you like to pray? Like for me, I love to meditate. Well, I have to make sure that I'm actually giving that energy into, okay, you know what? I know I had this type of day. I know it's been busy, but let me just take at least 10 minutes to myself to do a quick meditation. Let me at least find the time for what I think is important. And I think that we should do more when it comes to, like you said, taking care of ourselves and just spirituality in general, because I wanted to learn, more about how to meditate. So I put the time and energy into that, because you have a lot of people who say, oh man, I want to meditate, I want to learn how, but they never do, so I just think that it's very important that we learn to, even if it's just like an hour a week, that's, you know what I mean? Like for me, I want to learn another language, so I need to put that time and effort into doing that, So it's very important that we do like Kim was saying, and, we kind of approach it from a holistic standpoint when it comes from, inside out, taking care of who we are from the inside out. It's nothing like that, just that natural flow of things. So yeah, that's what I want to talk about. It's just the time aspect of it.
Yeah, I think that, or I'll speak for myself. I know when I was in a place where I wasn't prioritizing those things is because I'm a very all or nothing person. So I was if I don't have time for a full yoga session, a full-blown meditation, then I'm just not going to do it at all. And it's like, sometimes we just simply don't have the time. Sometimes, a lot of times, we're not making the time, or we don't actually value it enough to make the time for it. But in the cases where we just don't have enough time, it's like, you could take a deep breath anywhere. Like, okay, maybe you don't have time to like completely, shut out the world and cross your legs and meditate, but it's like, you could take some deep breaths and center yourself on the way to work. Like, you could say some affirmations in the mirror while you're brushing your teeth. Like, you could do a little quick stretch at your desk if you don't have time for a full-blown yoga session. So it's really about like making time and prioritizing that thing if it's important to you. And if it's important to you in your mind, but you're not prioritizing it in your behavior and where you actually spend your time, then it's like, that's that shadow work of like, why? Where's this coming from? What's the blockage between me thinking like this is important to me, I want to make time for it, but like something stopping me? Figuring out what that blockage is and addressing it. Is there something in you that feels like you're not worthy or you don't deserve the benefits of this practice? Is there something telling you that maybe this practice doesn't work or whatever it is? It's like figuring out what that is and addressing that.
Okay, I love that. Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you so much, Kim. Oh my gosh, like, y'all, she has really dropped, girl, you dropped some jewels and some gems today. Like, some really, this is so helpful, even to me. Like, you're so inspiring and encouraging to me. And, ever since I met you, I'm just like, I've always wanted to keep in contact because you've just been so inspirational to me, and I really want to thank you so much. Now, I do want you to let everybody know how to find you. I don't know if there's anything else you want to say, but let people know how to find you and, when they can get some of this, this good advice, because this is amazing.
Yeah, so you can find me at Glow by Grounded on Instagram, or Kim Nicole at glowbygrounded.com, glowbygrounded.com. And yeah, I just really work one-on-one with people. Anyone who has an idea a passion for something that will make this world a better place. Like if you have something impactful that you want to share into the collective, I'm here for you, because these are wild times that we're living in, and it's really, we have to be the ones to create a better situation. And so I'm here to support you. And yeah, I really want to encourage you to support yourself. You know, I can support you on the outside, but like the best support you're ever going to get is from that inside out, like we talked about. And just start where you're at, day by day, brick by brick. Just try to do something to move you in the direction of where your heart is calling you to go. And yeah, we got this, y'all.
We got this.
Yeah.
Let's go. Just know that we got this, you guys. And I will make sure that I link all of her stuff down below in the description box. So just make sure that you go and support her and check her out, you guys. And until next time.